Good morning, everybody. Good morning, huddlers. Welcome to your daily Huddle Thursday Spiritual Matters party, because it is a party. Let me leave you with a quote before we all get started that's going to kind of like create the context for what we're talking about today. Because today the theme is it true that how you do anything is how you do everything? And the quote that I have for you today is from James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, who says, you do not rise to the level of your habits or of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Welcome to Spiritual Matters. Man, that really does address the inner percussionist in me. I really like that we have percussion at the beginning of the day. That really jumps me up. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to your daily Huddle Spiritual Matters Thursday. I am your host, Dr. Monikah Ogando, and I'm so delighted that I am here with you. Fresh face. What does it call it? What is it? Fresh face and bushy tailed? Is that what people say? So I want to find out before we get started on today's juicy topic, how everybody is. Let me see. I don't see much video, but let me see what I can see. Who will I ask? Gio, how are you today? ¿Dónde está Gio?
I'll answer it for Gio.
Okay, you answer, Sorrel.
I am bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Bright-eyed, not fresh-eyed. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. I love it. Thank you. I love it. Cece, is Cece here? Oh, Cece's here. Are you biking? Are you running? Are you climbing mountains? What are we doing today?
Good morning. Good morning. I'm right here right now.
Yay. What are you thankful for today? And who are you going to hug?
I am thankful to God, and I'm going to hug some unknown person out in the public today.
Oh, okay. Let's not break any boundaries. Let's not cross it. let's give where it's wanted. I love it. Leila, how are you today? Welcome. Where are you and what time is it where you are?
I am in Hamlet, North Carolina, and it is 9:04 Eastern Standard Time, and I am on top of the world. I'm doing great. On top of the world.
Yeah. I know that there's a song with that line in it. Sorrel earlier before we went live was teasing me about my musical Tourette's, and I would like to think that I came through. Stacy, would you say that I came through? Were you here for that?
I'm going to say you came through even though I was not here for that.
Okay, declare the description, right? Sometimes we're declaring a promise, sometimes we're describing a promise. Well, welcome. What, you were going to say something, Sorrel?
Oh, I was going to say, Stacy, you give her one word, she comes up with a whole song.
A whole
Watch
song?
this. Hope.
Hope?
Yes.
I hope you never lose your sense of wonder. There you go. Hey. You didn't say it had to be in the title. It could be in the lyrics. Okay, so listen. Today, the topic is it true that how you do anything is how you do everything?
I'm here.
Who's here?
Gio.
Oh, hello. So, and there's two camps. There's two philosophies when it comes to this particular assertion. One camp says, no, life is too complicated. There are too many nuances. There's too many distinctions. You can't, it's too reductive to say that how you do anything is how you do everything. You've got to account for some exceptions. You've got to account for some variables, et cetera, et cetera. And then there's the other camp that says, you've got to think of yourself in terms of a collection of patterns. and not just data points. And if you think of yourself as a collection of patterns and not just data points, then it is true that how you do anything is how you do everything, if you look at the big picture, as it were. So I'm gonna make points for each camp, and I'm gonna let you decide which camp you're on. Fair enough? Just full description, kind of like full disclosure, so that you can make an informed decision about which camp you're on. So the camp that says you can't generalize like that, or it's too reductive to say that how you do anything is how you do everything, is because sometimes you see someone acting one way in one domain. For example, they may be very straight-laced and professional and transactional in a business or in a professional atmosphere. And then with their family or with their children or with someone that they love very much, they're very affectionate, very close, very intimate. Those relational barriers seem to melt away. And then you say, seeing that person act the way that they do, you say, well, no, how they do this relationship isn't how they do that relationship. So you can't really ascribe that statement to them. And then the person that goes to this camp that says, well, no, you can, if you think about patterns and values. Then that person will see that same person that acts one way in a professional environment and acts one way in their personal relationships and says, the difference, the reason why they show up one way here and one way there isn't because of distinctions, it's because there's a different value at play. For example, in their personal relationship, there may be trust, or there may be permission, or there may be intimacy that is absent in a professional environment. And if that trust and permission and connection or intimacy were available or were part of their professional relationship, they would act that way there too, because they act that way in accordance to their system of values and not just for circumstances. I had a friend, I just came back from doing a women's mastery program. It's a leadership retreat for women of color that are in high executive positions, director level and above. And one of the co-facilitators, or the founder of that program, her name is Cornelia Shipley, she's a friend of mine and a colleague, was describing me to the ladies that some of them I coached directly and some of them were just coached by somebody else. I was one of the coaches. And she was describing me and she said, she was hearkening back to a time when she brought together her friends from different parts of her life, colleagues, professional, personal, in church and everything else. And we all got together. And when it was my turn to introduce myself, I went straight deep into some personal details that people were like, wait, that's too soon. That's too much. I don't need to know that. And I don't know you like that and so forth. But she was describing that moment to talk about the fact, or to address the fact that I show up that way everywhere. That this isn't something that's like I put on this face for these people or that face for that people or this way for this environment. She shows up that way all the time, regardless. She's consistent in that way. And my assertion is that everybody shows up consistent everywhere. You just have to figure out, when you're getting to know someone, what is their North Star? Because they are consistent and aligned with that North Star all the time. Just because you don't know what it is doesn't mean that they're inconsistent. Make sense what I'm saying? I need to see you nodding or something. Okay, good. So now you want to figure out, just like the quote says, that James Clear quote that I gave you, you do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So now you want to figure out, well, what's my default system? What is my system that if everything gets rebooted, like if I were a computer and everything gets rebooted, this is my base foundational function. What is that? Such that I can always use that a little bit like my North Star, a little bit like my starting point, like my foundational basic assumption of being. So let me give you some questions to prompt that exploration for yourself. But first, another story. Dr. Wayne Dyer. Do you guys know who Dr. Wayne Dyer was? Dr. Wayne Dyer in the 70s and 80s wrote a few spiritual and self-help books. He comes from the field of psychology. In fact, he was in the military as a psychologist, as a counselor, and later on became some sort of like new age, spiritual teacher of sorts. And he used an analogy, he used a parable that when you squeeze an orange, if you squeeze an orange in hot weather, you get orange juice. If you squeeze an orange in cold weather, you get orange juice. If you squeeze it in the Caribbean or in really cold climate or in the West Coast or in the East Coast, wherever you squeeze an orange, what you get from an orange is orange juice. What happens when people squeeze you? Right? When you get squeezed, when you're stressed, when you're under the gun, when you're, your nervous system is dysregulated, what happens when you get squeezed? And that question gave me pause, because I always wanted to, one of my values is what I'll call imperturbability. I want to get to the point where no matter what's coming at me, that I can be centered, that I can be grounded, that people know that they can rely on me, and that I know that I can rely on myself, and that I'm not so easily perturbed by things that are happening around me. And so I always put myself in perturbation environments so that I can test my own imperturbability. I will deliberately get in front of somebody that I know rubs me the wrong way. I will deliberately put myself in situations or read books whose philosophies I do not agree with. I will deliberately get in environments, I'm a little bit of an introvert, so I'll put myself in extroverted environments, or I'm a little bit of a philosopher, so I'll put myself in kinetic environments. That's not the same energy. The thinking energy and the doing energy are two different things. And so I'll put myself in places that feel strange, or that feel like that's not really my throne, that's not my automatic, so that I can practice imperturbability. And if you know that about me, then you'll know why I would do certain things like that. Why is she hanging out with that person? I don't like that person. And I know she don't like that person. Why is she hanging out with that person? Well, now you know, because her North Star is imperturbability. So she would do some stuff like that, that looks weird, that looks out of character. But when you know somebody's North Star, it makes perfect sense. So when you think about yourself, what is your North Star? Maybe your North Star is comfort. Maybe you get around people who make you feel comfortable, and you stay away from people who make you feel uncomfortable, or situations that make you feel uncomfortable. Maybe your North Star is familiarity. So it's not so much that it's comfortable. There's some people that you have known all your life, but they're not comfortable, but they're familiar. So you'll stick around them, right? So there's a difference between comfort and familiarity. Maybe your North Star is luxury and abundance and, just ostentatious kind of luxury type deal. So you'll get around, you'll make foods, and you'll present dinner in really beautifully plated ways, and et cetera, because your North Star is beauty and luxury and abundance and so forth. So I just want you to check in with yourself about what is the pattern, what is the value, what is the North Star that maybe consciously or unconsciously guides where you tend to go, how you make decisions. Because if you think about it that way, how you do anything is how you do everything. It has been guided by that particular North Star, whether you'd like to admit it or not. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes when you explore this conversation, you may realize that you don't even like your North Star. It's like, oh man, I've been making decisions based on comfort. I've been selling out. I haven't been stretching. I haven't been challenging myself because my North Star is comfort. You may not like that about yourself. But as a cartoon in the 80s used to say, and knowing is half the battle, G.I. Joe. So we want to raise that awareness for you so that you can decide, right? Out of awareness comes choice, and out of choice comes freedom. So now you can make a decision, and now you can create a new level of freedom for yourself. So I want to open up the discussion with you, and let's play together. Let's dialogue about this. Do you know already what your North Star is based on your behavior, based on your patterns, based on your results? Can you name it off like that, like I did mine? Or do you need a little bit of time to percolate with that? Am I opening up a can of worms that you didn't know you had before? Let's talk about it. Who wants to talk? Raise your hand, or there we go. Cece, come on over.
Good morning. Yes, you opened up a can of words, because my normal North Star is to be around people who are comforting, who are kind, who are consistently good to others. So any type of confrontation, anger, stress, I run from. I used to run from. Now I'm running to it, because I have power over everything by the grace of God, okay? And so I don't need to fear anything. So one of my biggest fears that was always in my mind was to get up and speak in front of a group of people. And that made me so nervous. I would choke. I would just say, very limited words. So now I am starting a comedian career.
Wow.
I'm intentionally going to the open mics and sharing about myself, nobody else, just these three people, me, myself, and I. And I am confronting that fear of speaking in front of audience and people.
Wow, so, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's amazing. They've done some studies, and they think that, I don't know if they have any updated data, but the last time that I checked, the greatest fear that people have, second only to death, is the fear of public speaking. So you're taking on something amazing. Congratulations. Gio says, this is so confronting. I know, right? Leave it to the lady whose North Star is imperturbability to ask you to check on yourself like this, right? Who else has a question or a comment that you want to bring up? Oh, hey, Stan, I see your lovely face.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, my dear sisters and brothers. I'm telling you, it's amazing, Monikah, how you just perk. Like what you say is what happened when they squeeze you. I just love when you say that. And it's mind you, I have a sister, 70 years old sister. She always have things to say, but this is the point where you just open the star and say, okay, I'm going to go to her because anything she says doesn't faze me. She said, do you hear me, sis? I said, I always hear you. You are my holy sister. I always listen to you. And it's amazing how she has, I say, why you use those words. You want someone to use those words towards you. Why? She said, no. I said, so don't use it. If you don't mean it, don't use the word. And next thing that I see that I have my dear beloved friends, them that will call me, say, oh, sis, how you doing? I say, I'm doing fine. He said, why it is that every time I call you, you're doing fine? I say, I choose to do fine. The universe allow me to do fine. So mind you, when they squeeze you, don't squeeze back. Because you squeeze back, what will you get when you squeeze back? So thank you so much for the point them that you really open this can of worm. So it have me doing exercise this morning and getting a lot of thoughts, good thoughts. Thank you so much, Monikah. I appreciate
awesome. That. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Thank you for sharing. Gio, your hands up.
And so I'm driving, so I'll be on just a.
There he is.
just on voice this time. But I wanted to say, I was sort of, as you were creating the conversation, I was experiencing a little bit of vulnerability you know, an emotion and experience of vulnerability, I was thinking that, you know, it was kind of pointing to there is who I would like to become.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is who shows up when I am squeezed.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, oh man, how do I close the gap? Because you know, that when I'm squeezed, I want to, in some degree, I want to do something about it. I want to fight back, and the emotions and the circumstances seem overpowering over the person who I wish would come out when it's squeezed, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And so, so what's the I know you don't give tips or something, but what are your thoughts on how to close the gap between the person that shows up when one is being squeezed by, you know, finances, family, home, disease, and the person who I want to be, if you will?
Oh, I know you said, it's funny how you set that up. You don't give tips, and yet here I am prepared to give you some tips. and this is for everybody. So I'm gonna call it a love letter framework. Okay, we're gonna call it a love letter framework. And let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, let's say, labels or categories or something. Okay. This might be a journal entry. This might be a conversation that you have with someone. It might be, since you're driving, Gio, a conversation that you have with yourself. You might need to just turn on your voice memo and just let yourself run your mouth so that you can hear what comes out, because sometimes we don't know what comes out until it comes out, right? So the love letter framework, step number 1 is whatever it is that you're angry about. Whatever it is that you're angry or disturbed or grieved by. So I don't like it when, or I feel annoyed that, I'm frustrated that, I'm pissed off that, right? So those are some of like those fill in the blanks that fall under the anger category. So you get the venom out first, okay? Then the second one is sadness, because usually anger is a proxy emotion for sadness. And so sadness is, I feel disappointed that, I'm hurt that, or I'm sad that, I wanted, you know, fill in the blank, or I want fill in the blank, so that you're expressing whatever that sadness or whatever that grief is about. The third one is fear. I'm afraid that, I feel scared that, I'm worried that, I don't want that, blah, 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 whatever it is that you're fearing. That's the third one. The fourth one is regret. Fear is maybe like a regret that hasn't happened yet, right? So then we talk about the regrets that have already happened. I feel ashamed that, I feel embarrassed that, I'm sorry that, I didn't want, et cetera, et cetera. So you fill in those blanks. And then the final one, the fifth one, is love. We always begin and end with love. Alpha and the Omega is love. I love that. I appreciate that. I thank you for. I understand that. I know this about you, or this about myself, etc. My heart's wish is that. Okay, so then you loop that. You come full circle to coming back to union, coming back to atonement, coming back to love. And then for extra credit, if you're up for it, the PS section of the letter, of the love letter, is the response that you would want. In this case, if you're battling with like the you that you know yourself to be and the you that you desire, then have that response be from your ideal self, from your higher self. Or if it's actually somebody else, your wife, your brother, your sister, your boss, whatever, then have that be the response from that person that you're thinking about. And that response could be, the response that I would like to hear from you is, I want to hear that we're okay. I want to hear that we're good. I want to hear that you still believe in me. I want to hear that this wasn't as big of a mistake as I make it out to be, and I should stop punishing myself, or whatever it is that you want to hear from the other person or from your ideal self, that you can go for it, that you have everything that it takes, et cetera, et cetera. You would be so surprised how soothing it is to write this stuff out for yourself, because these are all thoughts and feelings that you're holding, to actually verbalize them, to actually get them out, and to be, to your point, Gio, not just the person you are, but to create the ideal situation or the person that you would like to be. It's already here in your own consciousness, and you can write it out and create it. And then when you put that down, you burn the letter, you put it away, you put it in your journal, whatever, walk that out. Walk it out so that the physical manifested world catches up to your imagination. So hopefully that helps. Y'all listen to the recording later.
That was beautiful. That was just, what the hell? How do you do this? That was beautiful. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing all of that. I'm going to listen to the recording. I'm going to do the letter. I'm going to share the letter. This is beautiful.
Awesome. Good stuff. You know I got goodies in my bag for you. Okay, Chase, your hand was up.
Grand day, how's everyone? Can you hear me?
Hello, welcome. Yes, I can hear you.
This is my first time speaking on the call and my second time actually being here. So Thank you so much, everyone, and for Rashida bringing me on. Interestingly enough, what you just talked about someone squeezing you happened to me yesterday. And I wanted to tell this quick little story to bring a little bit of light to the situation. Long story short, I have a student that I feel is always trying to get away from the lesson. I'm a vocal instructor. And I did something that I shouldn't have done with her as a new student. I made it easy for her to pay when she needs to pay. And my gut told me, give her the rule, prepay or pay the day of. That's it. But I let it slip the last time. And she didn't pay. I gave her a lesson, let's say on a Thursday, and she was supposed to give me the money on Monday or Tuesday. So I wrote her a text, and the text was starting out really whimsical. I think I said, yeah, boom, or something like that, just to open it up and like have like fun with her. And I said, hey, how are you? I haven't heard from you. You're $50 in the red, but no problem. I support you. I just wanted to touch base with you, see how you're doing. Are you okay? Is there anything you need from me? And she wrote back, my voice is tired. I'm having a tough time. I haven't been able to do this and that. My voice has been used too much and I haven't been resting. And I said, okay, well, what can I do to help you? The part of the, the first text that I just left out was, I put, okay, we got to make sure we stay in integrity, meaning you do what you say you're going to do, meaning the money.
Meaning pay me.
Right.
Right.
The text that I got back from her said, well, I told you I'm sick and I'm not doing well. And, oh, sorry, I got to make sure I represent her properly. She wrote, I will send it today. One sentence. And then after that, she wrote, but I've been really sick. My voice is having a hard time. I'm really not doing well. I don't appreciate the fact that you're speaking to me or texting me like I'm not working hard at all. It's not good. And I'd rather you just understand that. And she just literally went like to town. She goes, I'm going to rest as long as I need to rest until my voice gets better. And while I'm resting, I'm going to be looking for a new vocal instructor.
Ooh.
So I said, wow. So, and this is why I brought this story up. This is my superpower. After I read the text, I said, Chase, how do you want to respond to her? What would be most effective? So I wrote, sweetie, you totally took me the wrong way. I'm not compromising you. I love what you're doing. I support you. I am not coming at you at all. As a matter of fact, I'm really impressed with your progress. So when you get a moment, just call me and let's talk. That was my response, right? Now, in the past, I may have taken that very personal and said, what are you talking about? I didn't think that, why would you talk to me like that? And kind of just, bring out the machine gun. And I said what I said. It was very soft. And then I put another text out afterwards, further explaining how everything is okay. I totally support you. I didn't hear anything back from her for many days now. But my point was, I always get better results when I lay down the soft blanket and let everything be how it is. And so some will challenge this statement that I'm saying because some feel like, no, you don't let nobody take advantage of you. You tell them how you feel. But I'm the teacher. I'm the instructor. How would it be for me to come back blazing But that last sentence, and I'm looking for another vocal instructor, I have to let that be. If she does that, then she does that. That's the part where most people would have taken that personal, and I can't do it. So I got squeezed and I pulled back and just meditated within myself, because we know our intentions. We know what we are doing, how we're arriving, and what our message is. The other person, they create what they think we are meaning within themselves.
That's
that
right.
wasn't me.
I love that you said that, Chase, because that's the first thing that I got from everything that you're sharing is it's almost like we are, because we know human beings are meaning making machines, we have to be bilingual. There's like the words that are coming out of my mouth, and then there's the requests that are coming out of my heart, that they may not necessarily come out with the words, but it's right underneath. It's like the conversation under the conversation. And it sounded like, from what you were sharing, that she was saying one thing about, I'm going to be looking for another coach. But what was underneath it is, I don't feel seen or accepted, or you're not understanding where I'm at in the moment. And so I'm going to go somewhere where I can get my approval, or where I can get my acceptance, or where I can get, the sense of okayness. So I like that you switched it around that way. And if the worst that happens is that you're out $50, that was a lesson worth paying tuition.
Well, no, she actually did send the money right away.
Well, okay, even better.
Right.
Even better.
So, but it wasn't, when I used the word integrity, ooh, that sparked something in her. It was that word. She said it. I didn't mean her vocal integrity. I meant the money. It was like so interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that was good.
Perception. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Sorrel, last words from you, sir.
No, the last words are going to come from you. And like you love to say, this is another sermon for another Sunday, right? But here's what I'm discovering out of everything is that I was thinking that I am squeezed only when I'm in difficult situation, or I'm dealing with somebody I'm not connecting with, or something like that. But what I'm discovering is that no, whenever I show up, I am being squeezed. I'm an orange. Orange juice will come out of me no matter what. Mm-hmm. And what I'm taking away that really matters from this conversation is that it's discovering what orange juice is for me. Mm-hmm. And then being with that and dealing with that. If I like it, well, then so be it. If I don't like it, well, take another action. But yeah, I'm always being squeezed when I show up. It's not just certain situations.
When you say that you're always being squeezed, are you saying that there's something always at a demand from you?
No, the orange analogy, right?
Yeah.
The orange will always give orange juice. Yeah. So in that analogy, I'm always being squeezed. It doesn't matter what the situation is, whether it's negative or positive, mm-hmm. or whatever it is. What's going to come out is what's coming out. And mm-hmm. it's happening right now, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Good distinction. Thank you for that. I appreciate you guys, all of you, taking time out of your schedule to come join us on Thursdays for Spiritual Matters. I know that sometimes the conversation can feel a little heady. Sometimes it can feel a little confronting. Like Gio said, this is so confronting at the beginning. And the good thing about that is that as some of you know, one of my philosophies is kind of like the Rod Tidwell. He was a character in the Jerry Maguire movie. I come from the Rod Tidwell school of authentic conversations. He comes out of the locker room and he says, "That's the difference between you and me. You think we're fighting. I think we're finally talking." So the whole purpose of Spiritual Matters Thursdays is to bring forth some of these assumptions, assertions, the conversations underneath the conversations out of which we live our lives, so that we can, just like I say to you, check your assumptions. When you check your assumptions, when you audit the assumptions out of which you live your life, you discover there's like, oh, I actually don't want to live my life pretending that I'm addicted to comfort. Maybe I don't want to, or I'm discovering that, but when I get squeezed, it's not always orange juice that comes out of me. Sometimes it's bile. And I get to change that now because I'm aware. And so thank you for volunteering to put yourself under the magnifying glass so that you can invest in yourself and investigate yourself and do it in a safe space such as Spiritual Matters Thursday. So as always, we always send you off with our tenets. Love generously, love always, laugh out loud, make sure that you get your kiki today. Stress less, eat more plant-based food, like Gio says, eat a tree, give generously, give without agenda, sleep at least 7 hours today. If you woke up today and you didn't get 7 hours, make sure that you get a nap in. Move your body, move your tail feather, make sure that you get raise the kundalini. That was funny. I told folks in Egypt that twerking was an ancient holy tradition of raising kundalini energy. And the reason why you get runner's high is because you're moving your pelvic floor so much that you raise your own kundalini energy, and that's how you get runner's high. But again, another sermon for another Sunday. And when you move your body, you are able to connect your lower with your higher in that way. And then of course, as always, check your assumptions. The great hip hop era says, check yourself before you wreck yourself. But I want you to be very specific about what that means. It means check your assumptions, audit the givens out of which you live your life so that you can choose assumptions and foundations that support you. Love you all very much. See you next time.
Thank you,
One love, guys. One love.
Thank you. Have a great day now. Bye.